And of course, in the bottom left, in the red, she is the Queen of Blades for the Shopify Rebellion. It's Scarlett.
And in the top right, her opponent, the blue Terran player for Team GP, trying to re-advance on the loser side of the bracket. It's RYUNG.
I have nothing to say. Anyways,
This stream brought to you by. Oh, sorry.
we've ad reads. We're good. We're good. This brought to you by Hot Six. LG
You
Gaming
got nervous for a moment. You're like, wait a minute, hold on. Read the paper. That was my favorite thing to hear at Home Story Cup. Was there were just moments where it was like, okay, the production would come over the headphones and be like, all right, we need to do a quick sponsor read. And it's like, all right, what are we doing? And all it was is just read the paper. And I'm like, oh, paper, got it. So I always think of read the paper now, and I think I actually might have said that to one of my band kids today. My worlds are colliding.
It's so bad. I tweeted something the other day, and someone was like, "Yeah, it's they always say if your hobby becomes your work, you need to find another hobby." It's like, well,
Yeah.
What if my hobby? What if I just like having? But what if I don't have time for another hobby because my hobbies keep becoming my work?
So would you say that quad ball would still be quantified as a hobby for you? So
No, because
big into that in college.
There's no team nearby, so I don't play anymore. It's very sad.
Who's gonna hook? Yeah, who's gonna hook up BeoMulf with a quad ball team now that they're on the Ocho? It's amazing.
Honestly, I was very impressed with how they handled that. It felt very much as that RYUNG's gonna do a little bit of a RYUNG thing here. He's gonna try to knock this Overlord down, and Scarlett, at least I think there's a spot here where you're gonna be safe. Yeah, okay. But as the Marines they show up, Scarlett's going on the other side. Yeah, I guess there's not a safe spot here. I don't know. This is not something I've run into all that much, but yeah, RYUNG is gonna be able to knock this Overlord down. That is so annoying. Getting that 35 or knocking an Overlord down right around 35 supply. It's just an awkward spot. You don't tend to have that much larva. You're kind of wanting to wait for that third base to open up to give you that, to open the supply up again. It does not feel good.
No, and I think that's actually okay. So this map's not a good common complaint for that. So I'm gonna say a common complaint for Zerg players is there's not any pillars in this map pool. Data C's actually a good exception to that rule. It's that weird looking S on the corner. So, but yeah, I mean, noticeably a lot less places for those Overlords to hide, especially in the mid ground. So Scarlett's gonna have to find a better place to put her Overlords if she wants some of that free scouting information. But I do like this though. Armory going down for RYUNG. He's not messing around. He doesn't want to let Scarlett creep out the map here. He wants to get some Hellions across. He wants to get those Widow Mines to be undiscoverable without detection. He's going hard here.
And this is the same build that he tried to use against Ragnarok in game number 1, and it meant he was able to hold off the roach pressure, but he didn't really get much done on the other side of the map. And I mean, we saw how that one worked out. But Scarlett, she is going full greed in this game. More and more drones on the way, more and more queens on the way, going up to 9 total. So the Rainer build, and queens can deal with this. As queens are actually in a great position, and we got it. Of course, Spore is already done as well. One Widow Mine is going to burrow. It's going to get a good shot. Good drag there from Scarlett. Already splitting her drones. It loses a couple more in the natural. We're going to have to take a look how much that did in a second. And there we go. Pull into the natural. Oh, downtown shot. And this is it felt like Scarlett handled that perfectly. She just lost 7 drones. That does not feel right. But that's the world we live in, I guess.
I was about to say the same thing. It's like, it didn't look like it was that much damage. That she did a really good job mitigating that. But yeah, still 7 drones is a significant amount. It could have been a lot worse. That mine drag from downtown, you like to say, didn't grab as many as it possibly could have. But yeah, still a frustrating position. She loses the Overlord. She loses some early drones that can kind of spiral as things go forward. And those mines actually aren't quite done yet. Still 2 of them lingering around. The Liberator also causing a little bit of chaos here. Scarlett didn't even get a chance to breathe here at the 5-minute mark.
No, she really does not. And in a game where she was trying to be greedy, Right, get up. I mean, that 9 queen opener is just de facto greedy. You're really not getting any sort of tech as long as you can. Having her economy slapped down like that, losing, of course, not 10 drones, suddenly you're in this position where you'd kind of have that similar work account if you hadn't been greedy. So really, any sort of advantage that Scarlett may have been able to build for herself, it's not there anymore. And RYUNG behind this, he's got his third base done. It's almost orbital, but certainly the command center is done. 1-1 on the way stim, just about completing. And now we got Hellbat drops into the, well, I guess Hellions into the main base here. Lings are going to have to get pulled away. One worker will fall, but there we go. Pick up, run away. One more spore would have killed off the medevac, but even still, a bit obnoxious. This Liberator is put a little bit of pressure on the Overlords. I don't expect too many of them to actually go down, though.
Yeah, but that's still so annoying to have to actually focus on that. You don't want to pull those queens out of position, especially when you don't know when those Hellions are going to come swinging on in. In fact, 2 of them are actually Hellbats on the high side of the map at this point. That's kind of interesting. We'll have to see if that develops into anything unique. But yeah, Liberator just going to stay in that dead space once again, out of the reach of those queens. And RYUNG seems to be in a little bit better position at this point in this game. Like you said, it's the exact same build, exact same timings as game number 1 of the previous series, but it seems like he has a better foothold. He has a little bit more opportunity here to get his third base situated. It didn't cost him near as much to get to this point. In fact, it's been rather efficient. Only 4 Widow Mines gone in this whole time. So being able to limit the amount of damage that he's taken so far has given him a much better position against Scarlett in this game number 1. I
mean, I think you're underselling things a little bit when you say, oh, it's just a little bit better. No, he killed 10 workers, Rushi, in a game where the Zerg did very much was trying to greet it out, so it does feel bad indeed. Now this push finding its way onto Scarlett's 4th bases. She's again distracted by that Liberator just a little bit. Stim is done. 1-1 completing in the next 10-15 seconds, but now Bailey's going to run forward here. But with a tank as it is, this is not a position that Scarlett can easily engage into. This is what we were talking about when we talked about this, I think 1-2 series ago, with how problematic this position is. It's such a good tank position. Now RYUNG gets the top of the queens. 1 will fall, 2 will fall, make it 3, make it not 4, but even still, well, maybe make it 4 anyways. The army of RYUNG keeps pushing on forward. Now with his upgrades done, I don't really know how Scarlett's supposed to fight this.
I mean, she's going to have to sack a lot of these units here to try and break this tank, but look at the positioning on these Hellbats. Those Zerglings are not going to be able to wiggle their way in there. The Banelings now have to get brought into the fight. Then finally, after sacrificing so many of those Banelings, now RYUNG is going to have to give up his tank position, but that cost Scarlett so much just to free up this 4th base that now has to be rebuilt once again. There's a attack that's going to come here on the high side as well. She's going to clean up creep for right now, but the potential for that medevac to dive on in creates another pressure point here for Scarlett, who is really been struggling to maintain army supply here, regardless supply overall. 159 to 145. Scarlett has not been able to really get herself situated economically, army-wise, in any regard. Getting into Hydraling Bane can be maybe a bit of a risky play here. I mean, that needs to be something that you play incredibly efficiently if you're going to go down that path, and Scarlett has struggled with that in this game. RYUNG has done a great job of holding her back.
He really has. She just really has been larva starved more than anything else. Losing all these hatches early on, it means that you just do not have the production that you need, which is of course something that Hydras can deal with. Hydras are a little bit more supply inefficient, a little bit more larva efficient than just pure Ling Bane is, as Scarlett now trying to posture to make sure that she can take that base on the north side. But RYUNG kind of already there. That's a lot of Marines, and yeah, they don't have 1-1, but or they don't have 2-2, but they do have 1-1. As RYUNG, he's got his 4th base already up and ready. 5th base on the way. He's really steamrolling into that late game. But I'm not sure that Scarlett is even going to survive into that one there. RYUNG, he's up 20 army supply. He's up in total supply. He's going to have that 2-2 timing rather soon. And if he's going to be able to find his position on this 5th base, it's going to be, I mean, it's going to be spooky. And Scarlett, her creep spread around that is not good.
No, her creep spread is pretty good out in the center of the map, and she spent a lot of time getting to there. But being able to protect this base is going to be difficult. Drop back in the main as well. Queen's going to be able to clean up the medevac, so that should be taken care of in time with reinforcements. But will there be enough here for Scarlett to defend this base, especially without creep spread? It's going to be a difficult order, especially since most of this army is actually Baneling count. Tanks are going to have a great time firing away at those. The cancel does come down. I think that's a smart smart choice here by Scarlett, as she is going to try and re-engage once again on creep, which is actually a little bit stronger here on the right-hand side of this army, but tank coverage very well done here. RYUNG's going to be able to get what he came for, and that's going to be delayed economy once again for the Zerg player.
And it is. I don't know whether this is something that RYUNG was intentionally looking at, or whether it was something that just kind of by happy happenstance, but all of his medevacs were sitting over the dead airspace, over that line of sight blocker, which meant he had vision of the engaging fight a little bit easier than he might otherwise have had, which means, of course, the tanks were just firing the entire time. And now he's going to put forward and find an even better position into this third base, this fourth base location. Marines down, the Banelings are going to knock them down. But again, there's a second army there from RYUNG on the bottom side. And even as Scarlett continues to push her creep through the middle of the map, although that's another dead queen, the victim of regicide there, it's not about that creep spread through the middle of the map. Not really. It's all about this on the bottom side, or the top side here. Is that split's not going to be all that great from RYUNG, so Banelings will get the connections that Scarlett is looking for. And her Lurker Den is just about done. She does have 3/3 on the way, +1 or +3 armor, +1 attack on the way. Those Lurkers will eventually be good, but again, we're gonna have to try to see if she gets there. As the tank's line is massive, it is fantastic. But Lings and Banes looks like they will get on top of every single little bit. That one, good abduction on the Vipers as well. Scarlett breaks the position of RYUNG here. The question though, can she find anything on the counterattack?
It's going to be a tricky position. I mean, she's got an advantage here. Finally, now 180 to 137. This is the push that she has been waiting for. The base top. The top of the map is a bit exposed, and it creates an opportunity, but I don't know if she even knows that that's out there. No, she actually didn't have a whole lot of scouting information from her own vision, but I know that this is going to be a moment where lurkers would be very, very good to include as a part of this army. So it would not be surprising to see her wait for those lurkers to get situated. I mean, we do have the additional upgrades coming in as well. Hive tech is definitely underway, but I think every second that Scarlett waits, that just allows RYUNG one more opportunity to get back in and really, really situate himself here, especially since the ghost count is on the rise.
That it is. And you talk to Scarlett, you say, hey, look, what do you feel about this late game Terran setup? And she says, just don't let him get there. I mean, this is the Mario late game, right? When you have tons of ghosts and you start moving into mech behind that, it feels almost impossible for Zergs to deal with unless they're able to afford like 30 Broodlords, and they do their dark technique that he's been doing where you go attack Broodlings with Broodlings and you turn it into Swarmo style. But Scarlett, well, she's going to not let that one happen. Lings and Mains, they're going to find their way on top of this planetary. And they do not have Adrenal just yet, actually, but the Lurkers are going to be able to allow that to bust down. Meanwhile, Scarlett on the north side busts down that planetary, so 2 bases going to get broken. The price of 1, because Scarlett does lose the base on the bottom right side, but even still, that timing that she had where she was able to take that fight against RYUNG north side and really force him back, it has bought her so much space. Now she pretty much has lateral creep spread coverage across the entire bottom half of the map. She has this base on the north side. She did have that base in the bottom right, but she was able to expand. She was able to establish a better position on the map. And now, well, +3 attack on the way, +2 ranged attack on the way. She has all of her lurker upgrades. She's not happy, but she's not sad anymore either.
Nidus Network could create the kind of chaos that she needs to get her foothold in the main base here. So Nidus Network does finish up. This is a good push coming forward. Gotta be careful though. Those ghosts very, very dangerous against the Vipers. Baneling's gonna connect in a good way. Nice little hot pickup by the medevac, saving some of those ghosts, getting them back into safety. A couple of Zerglings actually going to harass the top side there on the worker rally. So that's a nice little pick. And then follow-up units as well could find a lot of good damage. But unfortunately, I think those early lings actually brought RYUNG up a little bit earlier than she would have otherwise preferred. So now that is going to be limited damage for sure, as there's just constant repositioning. But RYUNG doing a really nice job of splitting his army in half and having exactly what he needs on both sides at the same time.
Ooh, look at this, though. 5 Dropper Lords in the main base. The snipes go down to the Overseer, but that does not matter because it's all about the Dropper Lords, the Overlords into the main base. But there's a scan, so Lurkers, they got to run away from that one. They're going to burrow away as far from possible. These Lings are just not finding the value they look for. And cool idea here, Scarlett. We're going to have to see if she can make the best of it somewhere else, because Lings Banes, they come rolling into the third base position. Looks like a bunch of SCVs did go down, and Ling Hydra on top of the orbitals. That's one orbital that's going to go down. Looks like a second one is going to go down as well, as we do see massive EMPs on top of these Vipers. But even still, Scarlett has an egress route. She's got an escape route on the bottom side. A second orbital does fall on this. Now feels like it's starting to be the damage that Scarlett is looking for. She breaks the third base location, but more importantly, that is 2 less orbitals. That's less scans, less mules. And now RYUNG trying to get active on the map, but he's on creep spread now. This is where you get some pretty good Bailey connections, and a lot of supply can disappear pretty damn quickly.
Yeah, those ghosts do tank banelings much better than Marines do, and a lot of this army composition is Ghost. 11 in total here at this point in the game, and that's a scary number, as they are going to be able to start working away. And I love the siege coverage here by RYUNG. He's got great tank coverage. The main units have coverage from the Liberators. This is just very well executed, as the army's going to rotate over to the left-hand side as well, getting on top of all of those morphing banelings. That's going to be enough to force Scarlett out of game number 1. RYUNG executing a little bit better here this time around.
Oh man, it felt like Scarlett really had finally taken the bull by the horns in that game. She knocks down 2 orbitals. She keeps RYUNG really on 3 bases. But she just had to win that one fight to survive, and she didn't. What was that? 20 morphing banes all get found out, and suddenly there's just no world where you take that fight. She did not have the time to build another army.
Wait a minute, is this going to be oops all shenanigans? Because Scarlett's going early pool, RYUNG's pretending to hide the barracks. This is chaos.
Yeah, but I think this is a lot more chaos on Scarlett's end than it is RYUNG's, realistically. This is just a minor Macarax. I mean, it's gonna be Marine opener, as we do see, but it doesn't really mean all that much. This is just to try to convince Scarlett this is a 2 racks, or maybe 3 racks, 4 racks, something like that. But as of course Scarlett has opened not even pool first, she's opened gas pool. This is gonna be a very quick speed timing. I don't think that she cares about that all that much. The most important thing is, of course, she's gonna see that there is a command center on the way, and then not seeing the barracks is not gonna scare her nearly as much.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that actually could provoke the kind of build that she wants to go into. I mean, that's a pretty open base right there. Yes, it is going to get cleaned up or closed up a little bit with supply depots, but an opportunity to possibly flood some of these lings in that she is going to have the opportunity to produce, that could be really valuable. But it seems as if it's just going to be quick speed for right now. The second hatchery is going to go down. I wouldn't be surprised to see increased injects. I like the fact that the queen's walking down for the main as well, just to maximize as much of the larva as she possibly can. Is still going to build a queen out of that natural anyways, so that way she'll have access to some creep spread. But yeah, she's gonna try and move this really quickly here, already getting into that Zergling production.
There we go, 10 lings on the way. Speed gonna be done about 15 seconds. So by getting that quick gas means the speed's gonna be done 3:30 or 3 minutes instead of 3:30. That's standard timing. And RYUNG, what has he really seen? Right, he saw the gas. Really, that was about it. He saw how much gas had been mined, which is good for him. He knows it was an earlier gas, but he is not prepared for this one. Really nothing on the low ground. Look at this ling position. The Hellion is going to dodge every single ling that Scarlett has made. That is well done there from Scarlett, but the question really is whether she busts up on the high ground. I don't know that this is going to happen. There's a Hellion behind the wall. Marines are going to go down, sure. And yeah, RYUNG can't mine from the natural, but I don't think this is enough here, Rushi. This is... What, do you force RYUNG to not mine from the natural for a little bit? Sure, fine. He can drop mules eventually to catch up. He can build SCVs even still. And there's no way she's breaking up into that high ground. So the next level plays, of course, for Scarlett is to position out, to make it look like you've given up on this, and then flood in as RYUNG tries to take the low ground. That's looked like what she is doing right now, as more and more lings, they show up. But the Hellions postured incredibly defensively, and with his medevac as well. Scarlett, she's droning behind this. She's got third base on the way, but she is incredibly far behind from this opener.
Well, and from RYUNG's perspective, seeing this many Zerglings is a huge investment on Scarlett's part. So if he can just lay back, not lose too many of those workers, even if he has to float the orbital command for a little bit of time, that's all okay in the name of punishing Scarlett for making so many army units that are effectively not drones. So this is a great position for RYUNG to try and play into. Really has not lost much of anything. 2 workers and 2 Marines, that's a pretty even exchange on his part. I mean, it's not even. It's a very, very good exchange in his part. So now he can start getting into his own production, throwing the barracks down, getting an engineering bay. And keeping this in the positive for him is an easy feat, as he is going to continue getting more SCVs. This is very well done by RYUNG so far.
That it is. And Scarlett, she feels pressured. She says, I need to get even more lings. I don't know quite what you're doing, RYUNG. Not really. She cannot get the scout up. So more and more lings on the way. There's a spine going down as well. And yeah, I mean, you look at the supply right now, you say, oh, Scarlett's fine, right? 73 to 59. Well, I mean, Rushi, you know, this does not tell the entire story. You're having to buy a spine as well. It's just so expensive. She may end up canceling it, but I don't even think that's the wrong... Well, I actually, no, it is the wrong play because this is not a Hellbat time. Instead, it's going to be Raven Hellion, which means not only is Scarlett behind kind of economically and tempo-wise, she's not going to be able to develop a creep spread all that much, but this lane counterattack may have something to say about that one. SCVs have to get pulled defensively, and look at that great hold position there from RYUNG. He says, yeah, you know what? You're just not going to aggro on top of me. He does not lose a single SCV in this engagement. Every single lane goes down. Scarlett, this is the third time she's tried to penetrate the natural of RYUNG, and the third time she gets objectively deflected.
Yeah, and this is rough because all of this was done that happened before Lair, because everything had to be delayed so that way she could try and get as much as possible before that point. So now we're seeing the 6-minute Lair timing. That's going to delay a whole lot of tech advantage on her part. The Evo chambers are just now going down, so 1-1's going to be delayed as well. This is starting to look like a very concerning situation here for Scarlett. Now, in her credit, I mean, there is no third base just yet. There's no pocket base. In fact, do we even have a third base on the map? No, it doesn't even look like it at this point. So this isn't an all-out loss on her part. This is still something she can recover from, as she is going to throw down 2 hatcheries at the same time, taking the pocket and the forward 4th. So there is a point. There is a reality here where Scarlett can try to rebound economically, but it seems as if RYUNG is going to be starting to posture here on the army side. I mean, it's 48 to 29. This is not a moment where Scarlett can afford to throw down 8 to 10 drones per wave and not have any army units to defend against this, and it seems like she might be caught a little bit unaware.
Yeah, Rushi, you talk about there being no third base from RYUNG. That's because he's going all in as hell. His combat shields are done. +1 is done. He had those 2 additional barracks, so it is a 5 racks all in coming from the Terran player on Moondance in this game 2. And Scarlett, she took damage early, really damaged by her own doing, but now she has outgreeded herself. I think in the extreme, 2 hatches going down, building drones, going up to 77 drones and 5 hatcheries is just a little bit too much when your opponent is only on 2. Auto turrets get dropped. The Queen's trying to do what they can. Tanks target firing down so many of these banelings. The auto turret pretty much lasting its entire duration. Queen's now starting to fall. It is Regicide in the highest order here. Multiple dimensions as RYUNG stims in. The third base of Scarlett is just not in a good position anymore. In fact, she pulls away from it. She says, hey, you know, I built more hatcheries. Maybe I can make something happen. But look at the blue here that RYUNG has at this point. This army is not one that she can easily deal with whatsoever. Bailing speed, it's about 20 seconds out. That is going to be the timing that RYUNG is looking for, or the Scarlett is looking for. But by that point, the Queens, they're going to be mostly down. Not a lot of banelings. In fact, wait, RYUNG, he's not going to get the baneling nest in time. Or baneling speed is now done. But Rushi, is that going to be enough? Because the baneling nest, it's dead. She can't build anymore. Or in a second, she won't be able to. There we go.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of a do or die moment for Scarlett here. She has to get a really good engagement, and her army is kind of split in a very awkward fashion where these units are going to have a difficult time really pushing in. In fact, having to sacrifice 1 Baneling for 1 Marine, that's never a good trade for the Zerg player. And RYUNG just has more and more units streaming across the map. It seems like Scarlett has decided that this is her time to try and flood on in. Those Marines stem forward, and all of the Banelings are absolutely gone. They're removed from the game, and so will these Queens. And so will Scarlett. RYUNG 2-0 over the Zerg opponent, and he advances to Code S.
Unfortunately, she had the quality. She had 1-1. She had baneling speed, but she did not have the quantity. That was something that was very much in RYUNG's favor. So Scarlett will have another shot in day 2.